Hi everyone, welcome back. In the last video, we talked about the general workflow of ComfyUI. In this episode, we're going to know anything there is to know about checkpoints. What the hell is a checkpoint? How can I use it to my benefit? How can you use different checkpoints to generate amazing images? There are tons of free checkpoints you can download from the community to add amazing details to your images. Let's take a closer look about checkpoints. So what is a checkpoint anyways? A checkpoint is basically a snapshot of a training process. When I want to create a new model, and let's say this model needs to generate images of dogs, a lot of dogs. I really like dogs. So I'm going to train this model with thousands of images of dogs, all kinds, all shapes, and every image of dog that I feed the image, it will become a little bit better in generating dogs. So along the way of training the model, I will generate a thing called snapshot. A snapshot basically takes all the calculations the model did already until that point, and it will save that snapshot as a checkpoint file. At some point, if you train a model too much, it can actually worsen the results other than making it better. That's why it's a good practice to save checkpoints along the way of the training and see what are the results that the model returns during the training process. So we're going to start with the default workflow of ComfyUI, and here on the load checkpoint node, we're going to select the base model of SDXL. When you hear the term pruned model, it actually means that after the training process, all the non-essential data was removed from the model. It will almost always be smaller than the actual original checkpoint, and it will give you very, very similar results. So using a pruned model is a good idea. An EMA model is actually a model where some averages were calculated to the weights. I won't go into details how exactly this averaging happens, but basically it usually means that the model will give you slight better results, more consistent results, or maybe more stable results than other models. So you can actually use EMA model if you have the chance to use it. You might sometime encounter the term pre-trained models. This actually means that the model was already trained on a large data set, and you can basically use it as is to generate new things. Don't mind the name, because I have some naming conventions that I do in order to be able to easily recognize which model is which. I will give you later this tip. It helps managing the models easily. But we're going to choose the Stable Diffusion XL base model, and we're going to change the latent size to 1024 by 1024. This is actually something important to take note. When you're generating images with a specific model, for example, Stable Diffusion XL, the model itself was trained on a 1024 by 1024 images, meaning that it will generate its top images. The best images will be generated when using a 1024 by 1024. Same goes for Stable Diffusion 1.5, for example, but Stable Diffusion 1.5 was trained on a 512 by 512. So if you're using a model that is based on Stable Diffusion 1.5, the best images will be generated when using the respective resolution. So we're going to use 1024 by 1024, and we're going to go to Gemini. I really like the Gemini website, and we're going to ask for generate a nice prompt of a portrait photo of a young ninja warrior. So let's see this ninja warrior. Let's give it a second to generate an image, and we're going to make it one paragraph. We don't want all kind of stuff. We just want one paragraph. It's a bit long, but it's okay. It will actually probably generate a nice image. We don't want to see NSFW. For those of you naive who don't really know what NSFW means, it's not suitable for work, and we are here only deal with suitable for work images. But when you go to an image and you see an NSFW, this means that it was probably trained on nudity or things like that that are not suitable for work. So we don't want to see not suitable for work. We don't want to see nude. The reason I'm writing it is because many models were trained with nude photos, and I don't want to be banned from YouTube forever. So not NSFW, not nude. We don't want to see horror images. We don't want to see blurred images. We don't want bad fingers or bad face or bad limbs or whatever. It doesn't usually work, but it does change a bit the generation of the image. So we will start with that, and we will change it if needed. On the sampler, we're going to do 14 steps, should be enough, and we're going to do a 6.5 CFG. We'll change it to DPM, PP2M, and Keras. So this actually means that the sampler will generate a bit more detailed images. We're not going to save the image, so instead we're just going to create a preview image, and we'll maximize the size. And just before we click the Q prompt, let's go over the prompt itself. And let's see, bathed in the warm glow of a setting sun, filtered through a serene bamboo forest, a young ninja warrior, no older than 14 is not what we want. Stands poised, a determined expression and piercing brown eyes behind a black mask. And this is actually quite enough. We don't need all that. I will put the final prompt and the seeds number in the description below so you can follow along exactly with the same images. So let's do that. We want it to be a photorealistic image, and we want it to be ultra detailed. We will do probably a video about proficient prompting. Right now, I'm not giving it too much attention. I'm just doing some information so you can see how the different checkpoints treat the same prompt. So let's continue ultra details, and let's give it, for example, good result. So once we're done, let's just click Q prompt and see how it goes. It will load the model, and let's skip forward. So it completed the run, and you can see we got a very nice image, but not quite what we wanted. First of all, let's remove all these weird horns. So let's say we don't want horns, and we don't want a helmet. And also here, I want it to be a bit more photorealistic. So we'll say a portrait photo of, and instead of this forest, we'll say a young ninja warrior stands poised in a warm roller in a serene bamboo forest. And here we will say their determined expression and piercing brown eyes peek from behind a black mask. And here we can also say about the lighting, we want a warm glow sun. So we can say side lighting, this filtering through, it doesn't really matter. And photorealistic, ultra details. Let's give it another run. So we let it run for a few minutes. I had a little typo here in the helmet word, but it's okay. Basically, the model understands typos. It pretty much knows what I meant by helmet. And what I did, I gave it a few prompts. I ran it a few times. And the beautiful thing about, one of the beautiful things about ComfyUI is that you can actually see the history of your prompts. So if I'll click here on View History, here on this button, so if I load the recent one, which got pretty nice, a bit crooked, but I can actually click Load on the previous one and see the history of the generations. And out of all, we will choose this image. Actually looks very nice. It can be further improved, of course, but it doesn't really matter. All I want to do is use it and show you the difference between the different models. So we're going to choose it. Once I click the load button, you can see here on the seed number, it actually keeps the seed number that it used for that specific image. So now that I clicked load, and I will go here and I will change it to a fixed seed with this seed number, and I will click Q prompt again, and it actually kept the exact same result. Now if I click again and again on the Q prompt, you can see it adds it to the history, but it doesn't really change any settings. So it's not going to run again because each node is keeping a cached version of the results of that specific node. So now only if I will change the parameters, it will change the image. I want you to see this image, and what we're going to do, we're going to generate an exact same workflow, but this time with another model. So we're going to save this image, and later on, we will just do a head-to-head between this result and the result of the different model. And now we're going to choose a model that's called Juggernaut. It's one of the most popular community generated models, and we are not going to change anything. It's going to be the same seed, the same CFG, the same sampler, the same prompts, the same size. Everything remains the same. The only thing that we changed was the model itself. Let's click Q prompt and see the different result. So it ran, and you can see that with the Juggernaut model, we actually received a much different result, a much more realistic image of a ninja. You can see the details on the fabrics, on the covering, on the mask. We actually got a pretty good result. And just for the sake of amusement, I'm going to check yet another checkpoint, and let's see the results. This time we're going to choose a model called I Can't Believe This Is Not a Picture, and it is ICBINP. So we're going once again to click Q prompt, and let's wait for the model to load and see the different results. We're going to save this image in the meantime, and let's let it run the generation. And once it's done, you can see that we actually got a very similar results, but it is different in the details. You can see that the mask here looks more plastic, and you can see its hair here peeking on the top, and the character itself is a bit different. Let's save the image, and let's take a look on the 3 images that were generated side by side and see the differences. So we got the 3 images downloaded, and this is the last one. This was the first one with the base of SDXL. This one was Juggernaut, and this one was I Can't Believe It's Not a Picture. As you can see, same prompt, same seed, same settings, but very different results. So it depends what kind of image you're trying to get. So it's all fine and dandy and fun, but how do I get these checkpoints? Where do I get them from? So let's see how we can get the checkpoints. Basically, we're going to go to a website called Civit AI. Civit AI is a community website where people can actually upload their own models, their own trained models, and they can give you a demonstration of the models generations. So if you go to that website, of course the link is in the description as always, and you'll just click here on models. Clicking on models will give you categorized view of all the available models. Of course, the things that are NSFW are blurred, so it's up to you, of course, if you wanna use if you wanna watch it or not. I'm not going to show it here, obviously. And here you can see you can actually sort it by the highest rated. This is what I usually do, and it will give you all the best models that the community actually ranked. And this is, for example, Juggernaut, so I can go into the Juggernaut page, and here I will see all the information about this model. SDXL lighting is a different version. We will talk about it in future videos maybe. So let's go to the previous version. So you can see that the base model for this version is SDXL1, meaning that when I treat ComfyUI with this model, I need to treat it as if it was on an SDXL model. When it comes to the size of the image, when it comes to implementing LoRa's and embeddings and things like that, we'll see it in the future. And you can see some examples here of the model and how it was generated. If you click the little info button here, it will give you the prompts that were used to generate this model, the number of steps, and the seed. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you will actually see things that were generated by the community. You can see that there are very nice results here for this model. I really like this creepy image. So there are very nice results. And if you think that you want to use this model, it's very simple. You just go and click here the download options. Sometimes you will see that this button says download, so it basically uses the same concept. Just click download, and you can see that you have a model safe tensors. And once you click it, it will start downloading the file. When dealing with checkpoints, you can encounter several types of checkpoints, but mainly in Stable Diffusion, you will probably see either a PT file, which is a PyTorch tensor file, either a safe tensor, or something called a pickle tensor. Pickle tensor is problematic because it's not secure, and people can actually inject malware inside the model. So when downloading models from the internet, do not download pickle tensor files unless you are 100% sure that you trust the source where you downloaded the file from. Usually when we will deal with checkpoints, we will deal with safe tensors when it comes to Stable Diffusion related models. And in the sites that I will show you here, the website where you can download community models, the vast majority of models are safe tensors, meaning that you can download them securely without the concern that it will hack your computer. So we're going to the downloaded file. What I like to do is actually change it so it starts with an XL. This way I know it is based on the XL model. And then I can remove this one, and it's called Juggernaut-V9, meaning it's the 9th version. I don't really need this one. In case if it's a special model like LCM, which we'll talk in a bit later, if it's an LCM or turbo or lighting, I just add it to the beginning, and this way it keeps the order in the many checkpoints that I use. And now once we have this file, all we have to do is take this file and copy it to the ComfyUI models folder. And in here you will have another folder called ComfyUI, and in it you will have a folder called models. In the models you will have checkpoints. Checkpoints is what we just talked about, and you can simply paste it. I'm not going to do it because I already have it, and you simply paste it into your ComfyUI's models folder. And now once you go to the ComfyUI, you can either click refresh here, click a few times, and then in the load checkpoint you will actually see the newest model that you've just seen. So there are a few more models types that you probably have seen. One of them was the lighting, but I want to talk about a model called Turbo. Turbo, for example, is a model that is trained to be really fast, meaning that you don't have to use that many steps in order to have a proper generation. So let's take a look. I selected the XL Turbo. This is the basic SDXL Turbo model that was officially released by Stable AI. And I'm going to change the steps to a very low number like 6. Usually the turbo models require a very low CFG. I usually do 1.1 or 1.2, and we can leave it on the same settings. Let's take a look what happens. Well, you can see that the result is very bad. So this actually usually means that we had too many steps. We're going to change it to 2 steps. And let's try lowering the resolution to 512 by 512. So you can see that this time it gave a bit better result. We can upper the number of steps to 3 and play with it. Basically, for each turbo model, there is the correct number of settings that you can play with. So you can see that here even 1 step is enough. And basically, you just need to make sure that using the turbo is on 512 by 512 because that's the resolution that the model was trained on. And the beauty of it is that you can actually generate very quick images. As you can see, I'm clicking and in 1 second, I already have the image. But as you can see, the results are not that good. So what we can do is take, for example, go to the Civit AI and look for models. And here we can already have, if we'll go back to the models page, and here we can actually filter and search for other models that were based on the SDXL Turbo. And we will do the filter. And for example, we can download the RealViz XL version 4. I already downloaded it, but I just wanted to show you. And so here we will check the, for example, XL Turbo RealViz version 3. Actually, that's enough. And let's click the prompt and see if there is any difference in the quality of the image. So in this case, you see that 1 step wasn't enough, so we're going to make it 2 steps. Let's click the prompt once again, and you can see that we can actually play with it until we get a good enough result. And you see that it starts showing up some results. Let's do it for 6 steps. And here we can start seeing some good results. You can see it actually looks very photorealistic. So it seems like 8 steps will probably give us the results that we're looking for. So it's very nice that it is that fast. And you can see we loaded the turbo. Everything works the same with the exception of the number of steps and that the CFG needs to be a bit lower. I think that's about it. Of course, we can talk about it more and more and more. It's kind of an endless topic, but I suggest you just start playing with it. Go to CVAI, download models, play with them, see the differences, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If it was helpful, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.